dark, shadowy beings, all contorting and moving in a weird format, as if they were possessed, cranking their heads in every direction, screaming and shouting, making horrible noises. Some were on 2 feet, while others were on all fours, with some even having 3 legs. Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Cosy Reads. I hope you've all been keeping well. Thank you for joining me again for another story. In today's story, we will carry on with the tale of Regalion. As Jezebel was transported back to Max's realm, she was redirected. Luckily, she's transported to an old friend. However, where this old friend is could prove hazardous for Jezebel. We need to get moving quickly now. They're coming through here. Hide, don't move, we can't take them all. It seems somehow they have traced you to me, and by doing so they have backed us against a corner. What are you going to do here anyway? This place is not safe. Did Skaith bring you here? Scarlet conversed with an old face who had just appeared before her at the worst possible time. I'm sorry, I was supposed to appear with Max and the others, but it seems something interfered with Skaith's portal and instead forced me here, Jezebel responded while trying to keep hidden. Damn, well, I guess 2 heads are better than 1, but of all the times for you to appear, Scarlet exclaimed while looking around to make sure that their hiding place was not compromised. What the hell is going on here anyway? Why is there so many daemon around? Jezebel peeked over their hiding place and saw a very grotesque sight. Dark shadowy beings all contorting and moving in a weird format, as if they were possessed, cranking their heads in every direction, screaming and shouting, making horrible noises. Some were on 2 feet while others were on all fours, with some even having 3 legs. They were disgustingly vile creatures, completely corrupt people that had become true monsters. Their ear-piercing screams sounded as if the creatures were in agony at what they had become, but also as if they were angry about not being anything else. The daemon had a distinct smell of decay, strong enough to drive a person mad if they lingered in the smell long enough. Jezebel always wondered what it felt like to be completely corrupt by a daemon. She had asked Skaith before, and Skaith had explained that from her understanding, it was like having a voice in your head that got progressively louder the more you gave into it, until eventually the voice was the only thing you could hear, and then you feel yourself growing weak, as if you're not in control of your own body anymore, the voice seemingly taking over. That's when it happens. Your soul is slowly drained from you, with you being too weak to fight against it, to pull yourself back. Eventually the host isn't dead, or they become dead inside. This is different in that the individual is no longer there. Their body becomes a hollow husk of its former self, which the daemon then takes over, and using this body, the daemon can then infiltrate and feast on the person, growing in power until it is put down. When Skaith told Jezebel this, she thought to herself that if anything, it sounds sad, like giving up and no longer believing in yourself, to the point where even your soul is not worth fighting for. At some point, Jezebel told Max what Skaith had said, and while doing so, she started crying. At first, Max thought that maybe Skaith had gone too far, because Jezebel was young, but then he realised why Skaith had told her this. Skaith realised that Jezebel had lived such a life that she was no longer a child. Jezebel was forced to grow up, and to treat her like a child now would confuse her. Instead, what Skaith was getting at is that they needed to teach Jezebel that she can still be mature about life. That she might not be able to completely live the life of a child, but she can still relate to them while still being mature, to ensure that Jezebel can remain emotionally, physically, and mentally mature. Max realised that Jezebel was crying not because she was afraid of what she heard, but because she was sad about what happens to people when they become daemon. She was sad that an individual's spirit is broken in such a way that they cannot even fight anymore. And she related to it herself, that when she was younger, she could have easily been corrupted by a daemon. Through the life that she was living, she had many moments when she wanted to give up. And in fact, she did feel that she had given up before Max and Scarlet found her. When they found her, she was dead inside. And Max and Scarlet could see that. But they could also see that she still had a fire in her, however small, and that there was something different to her, almost as if it was forcing her not to stop fighting. Enough so that they could take her under their wing. After they helped all the other children who had been kidnapped, they realised that Jezebel was still there. She felt a connection with them, as much as they did with her. Even then, Max started to realise Jezebel's power, but they just didn't know it yet. That's why Max believes that a daemon would not, or better yet, could not take over Jezebel, because that power would always keep them at bay. We need to be extra careful. We have already alerted the daemon to our presence with your less than stellar entry, and for your information, I'm looking for a weapon called the Staff of Creation. A weapon that I know harbours great power, enough to attract both daemon and reapers, as such ensuring that the only safe place for the staff would be with us. Scarlet whispered while running through potential plans in her head. Look, I'm sorry, okay, it wasn't my fault. As to how I ended up here, I just did. And anyway, it can't be that bad, surely. Scarlet then looked over at Jezebel with an unwavering stare and explained, it's not the daemon lackeys that we have to worry about. It's a supreme alpha daemon who's leading the small fry, as well as, wait for it, the reapers with 2 high-ranking reapers leading them into the facility as well. As such, the situation is far worse than you can even imagine. Scarlet always had a way with words, Jezebel thought. She always knew how to make every situation seem like a life and death scenario with always pointing to death. Are Supreme Alpha Daemon really that deadly? I mean, I've been training for the equivalent of 4 years, and I know that the Supreme Alphas are dangerous, but they can't be that bad, Jezebel explained while composing herself. They are worse than that, Jez. The Supreme Alphas are deadly creatures, able to command an army of daemon, alter their size whatever they please, and have immense power that leveling a skyscraper would seem like child's play. Each Supreme Alpha Daemon bolsters a huge array of otherworldly magic. And finally, each Supreme Alpha is separated by having a unique power that the others do not have. As such, they are intensely powerful. For us to come out of this alive, we need to think up of a plan. Give me a minute and I'll think of something. You look out there while I try and figure out a way through this. Jezebel looked over again and watched the daemon, studying the way they acted and moved. And that's when she came up with a plan. Scarlet, I have a plan. Our main goal here is the Staff of Creation, right? And making sure that it does not fall into the hands of the Reapers or the daemon. I've been watching the daemon and I realised that they have a herd-like mentality. Jezebel started to explain. Yeah, but that's something that we already knew. Daemon are not the cleverest creatures. So what kind of plan do you have? Scarlet replied. If you let me finish, then maybe you'll hear the plan. So as I was saying, herd-like mentality. Now if we can outrun them, we can draw the others to us. Then one of us could distract them and even cause a commotion while the other person sneaks further into the facility and grabs the staff. Jezebel finished explaining her plan, seeming pleased with herself for being able to think up such a foolproof plan. Okay, but what happens after, when the staff is grabbed? Because then we will most definitely have everyone on our asses, Scarlet replied. And what happens if the plan doesn't go well? Then we end up separated with one of us cornered by daemon and possibly reapers, and the other in an even worse jam. And that would be the best case scenario, Scarlet added. Jezebel thought on this and weighed up their current predicament. Taking into account the daemon that was ready to advance and kill her and Scarlet, she decided to go with her gut feeling. Telling Scarlet, we are already in a very bad situation, completely cornered and cut off. There is no way for us to get past the daemon or the reapers without alerting them. So either we go home, or we try. At least if we can draw the daemon away, it might give us a fighting chance. And if worse comes to worse, we draw the daemon into a confrontation with the reapers. That way hopefully we are not dealing with both groups alone. And if that doesn't work, well then, I guess there are worse ways to go. Like, if you give me a minute, I'll think of something. Jezebel then went into thought, actively trying to think of a death worse than daemon possession. Well, I can't think of anything better, so fine, I will draw the daemon attention away, and then you sneak in and find the Staff of Creation, Scarlet replied. Wait, what? But that's incredibly dangerous. I'm the one who thought for the plan, so shouldn't I be the one to put my neck on the line? Besides, what happens if I meet resistance? I'm not as skilled as you are, and I might be forced to fall back, Jezebel exclaimed. Which is why I decided to provide a distraction. I can fend off the daemon enough that they won't have a chance to possess me. I don't know how much you've grown in skill, but I'd rather face the risk of fighting the daemon, as you have a better chance of sneaking in and stealing the staff. As Scarlet said this, she got up and started the plan of distraction before Jezebel had any time to retort. Wait! But it was too late. Scarlet jumped out of their hiding spot, flinging 2 throwing knives in the direction of the daemon, hitting 2 of them square in the head, causing them to scream out in ear-piercing agony and then drop to the floor as lifeless husks, while dark spirit energy oozed out of every orifice. Jezebel looked in utter bewilderment and disgust before steeling herself when she heard Scarlet shout, "Run, now!" Jezebel then made a break for it, Out of her hiding place, ensuring not to draw attention to herself, she traversed further into the facility, but not before dispatching 2 Damon stragglers who had uncharacteristically stayed behind. And that brings chapter 9 of this story to an end. I hope you have all been enjoying the series. We have now met another one of Max's old allies in the form of Scarlet. What do you think about the first showing of her? Jezebel has appeared in a place filled with Damon. Even with Scarlet with her, how will they get themselves out of this situation? And what perils lurk further into the facility? Tune in next time to find out. But until then, I hope you have all sufficiently warmed up, and that this story has brought you some level of comfort. I wish you safe travels on the journey of life, and feel free to come back again whenever you need a new story to warm your day.